Thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane of Voice Matters, and my wonderful co-host Karen Swim of Solo PR Pro. Hi, Karen. How are you doing?
I am good, Michelle. How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing all right. Doing good today. Doing good this moment, which is all we can ask for. Life is
Yeah.
decent, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little fun today. Well, I hope we always have some fun, right? But today we're going to dig into the folly of an AI first approach to your business, to your marketing. I mean, look, there's no escaping AI, which has its ups and downs, but we've seen a lot of examples lately where companies are just like, yeah, we're just going to use AI and who needs people? And it's just not the way to go. It's a tool that can be very good, but uh, at this point, I don't think it's a full-on replacement for actual people with skills and thoughts.
I agree with you, and I don't think it ever should be for some things. I still
Right.
am of the mind that technology should serve us, not the other way around.
Agree. Agree for sure. Yeah. I think I think a lot of this, like we're seeing with Business Insider, losing staff. And, we're going to point to an example of Duolingo, which also went all in AI and now they're walking it back. So it seems like kind of like anything new and shiny. We've seen businesses go all in. Yeah, we're going to replace X with the new shiny. And then they learn that it was too much too soon and not the right fit, and then they have to walk it back, and that ends up costing more money and being more inefficient than if maybe you just took your time and didn't feel like you were missing out if you didn't jump on the train right away and just did a little more research to how it truly could benefit your enterprise.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think about, bots. So here in Michigan, Xfinity is, one of our few options for internet service. And
Yeah.
you cannot speak to a human being on the phone. I love AI chatbots when there's a simple question that I don't have to wait on an answer, when it's simple. But when you get into complexities and you need the nuance of a human brain, it only serves to make customers angry when they can only
Right.
deal with a bot that's not answering their questions and doesn't have the ability to think like a human being and to get the nuance of your problem that's not fitting whatever is in their language model. And I would say
Yeah.
that companies went to these bots to prevent paying human beings to do a job that they deemed as simple, but in reality you've created more work for the human beings that are left. You've probably increased your cost in some areas with angry customers. And, what people do here is that they just then go to the local Xfinity store. And so
Yeah.
you were trying to take a burden off of the humans and have fewer human beings, but now you've actually increased their burden. And that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah. And not to mention increasing the burden of your customers because, I'm sure we've all screamed representative time and time again because oftentimes the prompts don't fit your particular issue, or you just need a you just need a person, and rather than spending a half hour trying to get to the person, you could have maybe taken 5 to 10 minutes, reached an actual representative and handled it. And all that does is create more frustration for the brand. Even if it is a limited choice, if something better comes along, you're less likely to stick with them just because of all those layers of the bad experience. And I wish companies would think through that more rather than look at what's on paper and the bottom line and think, oh well, this is the way to go, it's great, without really thinking about, isn't customer experience supposed to be at the forefront of most decisions in this digital age. Silly
I
me.
agree. I mean, we've seen some strategies that work, like Meta, who,
Yeah.
we all have a not great relationship with these days, but
No.
they're going AI on their ad consoles, on their ad products with the
Yeah.
budgeting and suggestions. I mean,
Yeah.
something like that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But when you say that you're a news organization and you are eliminating jobs because of AI, that doesn't really sit well when you are at the seat of trust and when you are supposed to be.
Right.
You need
Right.
human
Right.
beings who can think, who can weed through information. I do believe AI is a great tool, but it is,
Yes.
again, it's a tool that humans can use. So the way I'd love to see people deploy AI in their organizations is absolutely use it for things that can be automated. I don't think any of us will
Yes.
argue. Like, things that can be automated, please do use AI and use your human beings for higher value thinking. Train people and
Mhm.
give them license to actually be able to help customers use AI to help the people to sift through information quickly and to find answers
Right.
that they can then filter through their human experience and intelligence. So I think about, like, if you had the beauty of AI married with the customer service of Chewy, because Chewy has fantastic customer
Yes.
service. The human beings think,
Yes.
they're able to offer things, they have some autonomy for things that they can do, which makes them happy to do their jobs and it makes them serve you well. That's a great use. And in theory, can you have fewer people when you are making people efficient and equipping them? Yes, but it doesn't mean that you are eliminating jobs because you're replacing human beings with AI only. I do
Right.
think that is a mistake.
Yeah, I fully agree. There's a smart way to use it, and I've even seen articles talking about it in the medical field, how, radiologists are pretty much saying that they're dinosaurs because they're going to be able to use ARI to read ARI, hello, AI to read things, and I don't know, 90% of me I think is okay with that, but there's still that, "Ooh, don't we want a person who's had actual experience with anomalies and things to give their insight?" It just,
Yeah. True story. Many years ago, a friend of mine was diagnosed with cancer, and it
mhm,
wasn't her first bout with cancer. And we both worked for the same company in the medical field, and we knew all the oncologists. And
mhm.
one of the oncologists and researchers that we worked with um, referred us to someone, and he literally picked a book off of the shelf and he goes, "Oh, I specialize in this very specific type of cancer." He had written an entire book on it.
Wow.
AI cannot do that. This is a
No.
human being who looked at it and said, "Oh, hey," pulled the book off the shelf, like, "I wrote about this. I know
Yep,
this," and was able
yep,
to navigate her through that journey to get cancer free.
yeah,
And I just, again, I think about that a lot because you're right. In certain fields, you still do need that human experience and a human to see something that a
mhm.
robot, a tool, because artificial intelligence is artificial. It's not
Thank you.
human intelligence.
Exactly. I almost think it's parallel to when social media came along, and we thought, "Oh, we never have to do things in person again. We know we don't need this," and and now we found out we still long to be together in some way, shape, or form. We long for that person-to-person community. Yes, has
Yeah.
it changed post-COVID with, turnout to events because people are prioritizing their time differently? Yes, but they still crave that human connection, and that absolutely translates to your business interactions for sure. I I fully agree. AI is a great tool, can be very helpful, but it definitely shouldn't be a full-on replacement for many things.
Yeah, I feel like the scary thing for us in public relations is that for a lot of us, I think we're just like, oh, I can't wait to the day when I can walk away from all of these tools, live off the grid on a farm somewhere and not care about it. But for now, while we're still in this industry, we do have to care
Yeah.
about it and we have to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
And for us, I think it is just, a constant wake up call
Mhm.
that we better learn how to harness the tool. But
Oh,
more importantly, we really have to double down and really be able to articulate and demonstrate our value in our jobs because
yes.
we've already been in this position where we've had to fight against quote unquote marketing um
Mhm.
and or people mistaking that they're PR and marketing are the same, it's the same discipline, or making a choice between marketing or PR,
Right.
sometimes choosing marketing because they didn't see the ROI in PR. So I think it's getting harder for us. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we're dealing with the media landscape where we see a lot of AI, but then we're having publications tell us, don't you dare use AI in anything that you bring to us.
Right? Like,
So
wait a
there's
second.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But we've got to protect our turf, we've got to protect our jobs, and we've got to
Yep.
protect our place. I hate AI first strategy.
Yeah.
And I do fear that some companies are like, we don't need PR people. We can just
Well,
use
they'll learn.
AI to we can use these
Yeah.
tools that connect you
Yeah.
with reporters and we can pitch our own stuff. AI can
Yeah.
write a pitch. AI can read my emails. AI can do this. AI can do that. And so, again, I think that as PR people, especially if you've been in this business for a while, it's not letting go of everything that you knew before, but it's remembering and again being able to clearly articulate and demonstrate with metrics what it is that we really do and
Yes.
adapting our strategies to fit the now, and
Mhm.
not like holding on, clenching for dear life to the old ways because we're in a new era.
Yeah. And that's, holding on dearly to the old ways has never served us well, and those of us in this business, we do know how to adapt. And you need to embrace AI and use it as best you can. Understand it, understand, as you say, how businesses are planning to adopt it or thinking of adopting it. And honestly, be that voice in the room to advise and say, hey, you need to think about all these things as you do this and how it's going to affect your public and really be thoughtful about it, because that, again, that just points back to our role in PR as being a trusted advisor of how things are going to go down, because not everyone in the room is going to be thinking that way, even if it is their company. So, and oftentimes that's where our status as an outsider is helpful, because we can see it a little differently, to their benefit. Well, we hope this has been helpful to you. And if it has, please do share this episode around. We would please help us amplify the information we share each week. That would mean so very much to us. And if you have any questions or comments, hit us up at soloprpro.com. And until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo